Hello everyone, and this is week 1 of Menu and Facility Design, and my name is Stephen Hilborn. So in this very first week, we have a short introduction to what we consider is the menu and facility design industry. I'll just talk about myself a little bit and give you an understanding of where some of my experience comes from, as well as what are the basic components of the menu design portion. So as I said before, my name is Stephen Hilborn. You may call me Steve. And this is my email and some of my online office information for you. So any Monday and Friday, like I said in the first introduction, I am available. But please, I'm available all the time. Just send me a message, an email, and I can jump in a meeting room or just reply to your email. Some of my education is that I am a Georgian College alumni. So I came from the tourism management diploma, in which we have a great partnership, both hotel, resort, and tourism, with Thompson Rivers University, and this is out in Kamloops, British Columbia. And I went out there and finished my tourism management degree in entrepreneurship. After that, I worked in a bunch of different places. I worked for a banking institution. I started managing restaurants in Waterloo, in Mississauga, and Toronto. And then I decided to go back for my master's when I was working for Surcorp, who is the parent company of Jack Astor's and Alice Fazoli's and Canyon Creek Chop House and a bunch more. Crazy enough, the company itself saw the value of that, so they paid for half of my master's, which is strange in a restaurant paying for their management to go back to school. But that is available for a lot of these larger companies. So I got my master's of education and then slowly started teaching part-time at Georgian College, as well as running, at the time I was managing the keg in Barrie. I opened up my own consulting company. I was able to work for 3 or 4 different craft breweries while doing that. I've worked for marinas and the Casino-Rama and Huntsville, Deerhurst, and you name it. Started Agama, Mike Agama. I started with his hospitality company when I was employee number 1, I guess, number 2 after his son. So I've done a lot of different stuff. I do my own maple syrup, and I started a summer company this year spraying for mosquitoes. So I'm an entrepreneur. I like doing new things. I like seeing where the gaps in the industry are and how you can make money doing that. And while we have this course and we're going to talk a lot about menu and facility design, I just want to talk about you guys as well as like, what are your next plans and what are your goals and what do you want to achieve? And I love having those entrepreneurial conversations where people love to work hard and grind and make money for themselves so they can set themselves up for success in the future. So if I can help you do that, if I can review business plans, even if it's not necessarily hospitality related, I will do that. Sorry, I'm going to go on a lot of tangents this semester. That's just the type of person I am. So why I'm showing you this is a snapshot of Microsoft Visio in the program that we used. Let me see if I can zoom in and give you an idea. So this is a Microsoft Visio, and this is a restaurant that I designed. And as you can see here, this is our bar, our seating area, a little alcove booth area, some tables, and this is the entrance. The retail store's over here. This is a brewery, so the big brewery side is up here, and then this is the kitchen. This is the layout for what we call Red Line Brew House. So this kitchen here that I've designed is actually blown up over here on the right hand side a little bit, and it just gives you an idea of how these can be created. So we use Microsoft Visio. We ended up giving this to an engineer who then rendered drawings from this, and then we were able to build Red Line Brewhouse. So this is Red Line Brewhouse, and you can see these are 6 high top tables here with this big bar, which if we go back here, these are the 6 high top tables and this big bar, and you're kind of looking from this angle. So it gives you an idea of how we turn a bird's eye view of something. So by bird's eye, I mean I'm looking straight down upon it, into something a little bit more realistic. So this is the design with the big brewery in the back. Again, another shot from the bar side. So this is a concrete bar, super cool. And we even put a mezzanine up top. So this is like an event center. We ran draft lines up there. We really had a lot of fun with it. And this is from up top. This is the mezzanine right here. And then this is from the stairwell where you can see the brewery in the background, a retail store, and just people starting to filter in and really enjoying it. And it's around Christmas. So it gives you an idea of, while we are going into a menu and facility design course, I want you to know that the tools in which you are using in the next 14 weeks can be applied and should be applied to the industry, are reputable, and this is something that you can bring to your next job posting, specifically now with COVID. So what has happened a lot now is that a lot of restaurateurs are now in the situation that they are going to have to be their own design consultants. They don't have money to pay these people, but they need to redesign their layouts and their floor plans in which to not only do well for their own business, but to make sure they adhere to some of the new COVID standards. It's not going away. This is always going to be something that we're going to have to be concerned about in the future. And you can really get cement yourself in this industry as someone who has that skill set. Actually, I'm just thinking about that now with my consulting company, although I've kind of put it to bed after I got full time here at the college. Being a design consultant for hospitality would be a fantastic job, and there's probably not enough of them out there right now. Okay, as far as the course outline and syllabus, there's already a video about this, and we will be talking about it in class, so I'm going to skip through to this. This right here, the PowerPoints will be all posted along with these videos. So there might be some videos that I would like you to watch. So a look at the industry right here really just shows you how the industry has progressed through the years and why it's so important. And I really just like this video. So on your own time, please go through and watch that. So the first 6 weeks that we'll be taking this course, or when we are in this course, will be mostly about the menu. So the menu and how we design it and what it means, and generally the purpose of it. So the purpose of the menu comes from the French, meaning a detailed list, and essentially it is our guidebook to everything, right? It's our business plan almost for the customer. So it informs guests of items that are available. It informs all the employees of the items that they may need to prepare and purchase. It is the #1 control tool for our operation, and it's critical to communicating and selling items to the customer. It is the #1 piece of marketing that you will have for your restaurant, because every single customer will read the menu. If you told a marketing agency that you would have 100% customer reading their piece of marketing, they would go crazy. That would be the best marketing tool they would ever have. So when you think about it, putting the time and effort into making a menu is very integral. A lot of people, what happen is that they pay a design person, right? They pay a graphic artist or a graphic designer to do their menu, which is fine. They might have the skill set, but they might not do the layout that you want or the order of items. So yes, you may hire a graphic designer to do that, but if you already have the skill set and you know your business, you are the best person in which to design your menu. So the menu is also a mission statement. It defines your concept. It communicates that concept to the guests in many different ways. So it's not just the style of the menu or what the items are on it, but it's also the color schemes that you've used, the layout that you use, the language that you use. By language, I don't mean a different language, but also the attitude of the language. Like a Jack Astor's menu kind of just makes fun of itself. It's light and airy and like lighthearted, and people are there for a good time. Versus a fine dining menu has a different script, and it's very to the point, and it kind of puts a bit of regalness to them, a little bit of upscale to it. So it's all very dependent on what kind of message you're trying to send to them. It's the single biggest influence on an operations development of a loyal guest base, and the single biggest influence on making sure you have a return on investment. ROI is something that you've maybe heard before. It's return on investment, and essentially saying that the money and time and effort that I put forward, I want a positive return on it. If you're not getting a positive return on your investment, it's time to get out. So a few other challenges that we talk about for restaurants is that a customer is always looking for tastier presentations. And I know you can't taste a presentation, but you kind of can. Food tastes better when it looks better. So they always want nice presentations. They want healthier food options. They want to know the ingredients that come in it. Our customer is always changing. They're always demanding more. So it's quite difficult to always be ahead of the game. You want to create flavors that are wonderful. Some of the issues are that there is a lot of competition. So when I said earlier, finding those gaps in the industry, that's huge. Find out where you might want to open a place. And although I know that maybe some of you love Indian food, or some of you like Korean barbecue, or you want to do a steakhouse, if there's already those present in the location that you want to open your business, it's just not good. So either you need to change your location, or you need to change the style of food that you're offering. The economic factors are obviously quite difficult, especially right now. It's tough. For most people, I would say getting into a restaurant industry at this point, as far as ownership, is not smart. I'm typically the person that would say the otherwise, where I'm like, now this is the perfect opportunity, because a lot of places are probably going to close up. A lot of people are starved and really wanting to go out and enjoy the industry and go out for dinner. And if you can create a wonderful concept that works well in a COVID environment, you could be uber successful. That being said, it's not for everyone. There's lots of restaurant positions. As far as being an employee in the restaurant industry, I would say for many of you, especially coming out of schooling, this works really well for you. Many of you are going to be walking into situations where, hey, we need lots of people, but we also need like supervisor. We need higher management, because a lot of people left the industry during COVID, got other jobs, other places, and they have lots of holes to fill, and will even pay bonuses for you to come and work for them. So there's a lot to think about there for you. Again, I'm sorry that I go off on these tangents, but I want you to give you the details of what I'm talking about, but then also how they apply to our real world scenarios that we're in. When it comes to menu planning objectives, so some of the things that you want to ensure that you are able to do, you must have a certain quality standard. By quality standard means that we serve the same kind of, let's say it's a ribeye steak. So our ribeye steak is a AAA ribeye steak, or USDA prime. It has a quality standard. It's not Joe's farm down the street, but it's been graded, and we're always going to serve that standard of food. It must be cost effective 100%. It must be accurate, by meaning what is on the menu is what we give them. So if we run out of our ribeye steaks, we're not replacing it with a sirloin. We're just taking that off the menu totally. It should always be blending some old with new. So you always roll in a couple new options, but very rarely do you want to come in with 50% new options. That's a great way of really kind of messing up your kitchen, because they won't be able to produce it all. The staff must be able to produce and serve items on the menu. They must be trained in which to be able to do so, and the menu must be based on the amount of types of production and service equipment available. Meaning, if you change your appetizer menu from 5 items that go into a deep fryer to 10 items that go into a deep fryer, you now have to increase the amount of deep fryer space that you have. Otherwise, you're really setting up your restaurant for failure. And it must be appropriate for the operations facilities. So a couple of factors when that are influencing menu planning is our customer satisfaction. So this is what they prefer, the nutrition, the aesthetics, maybe also what's just trending right now, and then as well as management decisions. So food costs, production capacity, do we have the space and equipment available to do so? Menu prices, the types of service, can we do buffet service now? Is that available? I think we can, but I think there'd be a lot of people that are a little leery about having a buffet service style of food right now. And then also food availability, which is seasonality. So when you think about this, it's not a huge deal for me to serve asparagus in the spring and early summer, but me serving asparagus in February might be very difficult because it hasn't grown yet. We don't have a crop yet. So I'm ordering it from overseas somewhere. There might be shipping concerns. I'm paying a premium anytime I get something from overseas. And depending on droughts and worldwide things, we need to be aware of what's happening and say, okay, hey, our seasonal veg can't be asparagus. In February, it's going to have to be something different, something maybe more local. And then some factors influencing value perception. So in most of my classes, I always talk about price versus value. So the price is the amount that we pay. The value is the amount that we see as a consumer. Like, do I get enough value out of this? So if something doesn't seem like it has value to it, we usually are unhappy. That's why Black Friday works so well for people. So on Black Friday, they go to a Best Buy, they buy a TV for $500 that was on sale from $1,000. So the price is $500, but the value in their mind is $1,000. You for iPhones, I think it's ridiculous that someone wants to pay $2,000 for an iPhone, but some people see the value in a $2,000 iPhone because they're on it non-stop. I actually just have my phone open here beside me like it's like a third arm. That's that value for perception. So when it comes to a restaurant, things like portion size, quality of product, consistency of product, uniqueness, service convenience, speed of service, the comfort level, that's the ambiance and the seating and the cutlery and the tableware, and the consistency of the service. These are all ways that we influence our value perception. And depending on the place that you are, if you are a diner, then your prices are low, but the expectation of the meals are a little bit low as well. Versus fine dining, the prices are higher, but our expectation is much higher as well. So if I have some cold potatoes and I go to a slammed breakfast diner and my bacon's a little crunchy and my potatoes are a little cool, that's kind of what I expect when I'm paying $9 for a breakfast. But if I go to a place and I'm paying $60 for a plate, my expectation goes up as well. So depending on the restaurant style that you're choosing, these factors will influence in different ways, and that'll be on you to decide what you would like to do for your major project. This is just a little brief history of restaurants. It's a great view. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes, but it gives you a little background on it as well. So a couple things I want you to know about. So this is a little bit about design, but some of the terms that we think about are physical, design, and layout. So the physical is the material existence. So things like weight, motion, and resistance. So anything that takes up space and must fit in our available space is what we consider our physical. Our design is the broad function of developing the facility. So this is our site selection, the menu, equipment, and other planning functions. And then the layout kind of brings in the physical with your design. So the layout is the process of arranging all of your physical components in your design so it's operationally efficient. So essentially saying, I'm taking all my physical things, my seating and my equipment and my storage and my bar and my stools and all that stuff. I'm looking at my overall broader design of what kind of place I want, and then by doing so, I'm creating a layout that matches the concept. You can't just throw a bunch of chairs and tables everywhere. What you basically get is a place that looks like a cafeteria, and no one wants to pay money to go sit in something that feels like and looks like a cafeteria. So some of the trends that are affecting food service design. So the changes in patterns of eating out. So much of this is pre-COVID because the expectation is that this is going to come back, but we'll also kind of layer in some of those COVID concerns and how they've changed things. So more meals than ever have been gradually over the years, more meals than ever are being eaten out. Every year, year over year, more meals are getting eaten out. Although there's a very little change in disposable income. So that's being said, like we have less money to spend, but we're eating out more. So how do we, as a customer or as a business owner, how do you operate? And then prices and styles of foods have also had to change. Also, some of the changes is how we dine out. So when we go into restaurants in 2004, as an example, customer walks in and are given a menu. 7% of them request to be seated elsewhere. Then they spend about 8 minutes looking at the menu before closing it, 6 minutes before food starts arriving. 4% of them send food back. After dinner, the check is presented, and within 5 minutes they leave. And the average time for a meal, almost 20 years ago, was just over an hour, 65 minutes. Today, customer walks in and given a menu. 40% of the time, people request to be seated elsewhere. For those of you who know that work in a restaurant, seating is done for a reason. It's based on availability of server and in different sections. So you can't just be seated anywhere. Before opening their menus, the phones are out, they're taking photos, they're texting. 16% of them ask the waiter for something not to do with ordering, or they show them something on their phone. The total average time is 21 minutes to take an order from the time they sit down versus 8 minutes. The food arrives. 58% of people spend 3 minutes taking photos of their food. 31% take photos of other people and their food, and that's another 4 minutes, and 20% of people send their food back. So 50% of people ask server to take a group photo. It's 20 minutes or more than average for eating. So when you think about this 20% of people sending their food back, sometimes could be cold, sometimes might not look right. They're spending 3 to 7 minutes before they're even taking their first bite. So yeah, some of your food might be not as hot as it first came out. The average time for a meal is 115 minutes. Again, if you've taken any of the food and beverage cost controls and you're taking the dining room course in the GDR, you know that you only have a certain amount of seats, you only have a certain amount of hours in that lunch or dinner time. So if you are now almost doubling the amount of time for a meal, you are in essence cutting your potential revenue in by half. So how do we change things to get food out quicker, for people to put their phones away, for people to stop sending their food back and reduce this 115 minutes? It's a tough question. We also have changed in desired menu items. So we have an overall greater concern for physical fitness and well-being. So the way that we are sitting, cleaner air, healthier lighting, filters, specifically now that we're really worried about what we put into our bodies, which is causing quite a divide amongst people. Most menus are now offering lighter, healthier fares, specifically in the summer months, but all year as well. Therefore, some new equipment and new processes are involved, and as well as that we have a concern for made to order or freshness. So we want to see how our food is prepared. We want to see that it's being made fresh. It's not frozen and being shipped in and then sits in our freezer for 6 months. So there's a lot more open kitchens, a lot more exhibition style cooking out there, and a lot more local diets. We also have a huge concern for employees, and so we should. So employees right now in the restaurant industry are the hardest people to find. I have heard of people getting $5,000 bonuses for just going to go work someplace. I've heard of people giving $3 and $4 raises and I've also heard of restaurants, and we have one locally that closed just because they can't find people. So, even in Barrie, Michael and Marion's, which has been a renowned restaurant, they've closed Sundays and Mondays. Lot 88, where my fiance, she manages and serves, they had to close Sundays and Mondays because they can't find enough people. So it's quite difficult for them to operate. So ensuring that when you have employees, that you keep them, it should be top of mind. So things that really help are having a funky, fresh, colorful design. So a place that people like to work in. Air-conditioned kitchens. A lot of people cheap out on having a staff lounge or a staff washroom. They don't put those spaces for it. And if you've ever worked in the industry, doing doubles or doing a 12 or 14-hour shift is not unheard of. So having to be able to have a break where you're not sitting in a cramped corner eating on top of coats and bags is really nice. So a nice big staff lounge and washroom would really actually pay off in the long run. Easy to clean equipment, great lighting, cool design aspects. These are things that actually keep employees more engaged in their workplace and keep them longer. Got some cold coffee. The concern for the environment is one that we're always thinking of. It's not really a trend, whereas in trends are something that's new. This is just an ever-increasing pattern of us being more aware that we have more people on the earth than is sustainable. So, in the manner that we are living. So, unless we change the ways that we are living, the earth will change it for us. And we're seeing that already. So, when it comes to concern for the environment, lean is green. So, it means using the least space possible with the smallest carbon footprint. So we'll look at a couple things like LEED, which is a leadership in energy and environmental design. It's an award that a lot of places get for being one of the leaders in those manners. And we look at sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy, materials and resources, and indoor environmental air quality. This is all good. So when we talk sustainability, there's three different kind of things that we think about. One of which is, of course, the environment. But one is people and one is economics. So when it comes to the environment, yes, of course, we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint and all the things that come with it. That makes sense. But when it comes to people, is that we're also trying to treat our people fairly, give them healthy meals, pay local people as much as possible, which keeps the money local, which has a very good reciprocal effect. And then also economy. So economy means that we have to do this all for the idea of also lowering our monthly cost, better resale value, and these things ensure that you can run a business. Because if there isn't any business and it's not successful or economically profitable, then you can't be sustainable and you can't help people. So really, the first thing you can do for the environment is ensure that you are a successful business. And then once you are successful, then you can start thinking of the ways that you can be the most sustainable possible. Some of the other trends that affect food service design are those economic factors. So we all know our wages have gone up quite a bit with minimum wage being increased. Food costs have, if you've been to a grocery store lately, you know that food costs have also gone up, and utilities have drastically risen, especially gas right now. All of these things have to be paid. So typically what most businesses do when these costs go up, they push those costs onto the consumer, who is the end user of those products, right? So the farms increase their prices and they sell them to the big conglomerate shipping companies. The shipping companies bring them to the restaurants and they increase their prices bring them to the restaurants or the grocery stores, and then the restaurants therefore have to increase their prices as well. But unfortunately, our end consumer also has a limit for that price versus value, what they're willing to pay. So it's quite difficult when you think about this. So we can't always just keep increasing our prices. As a matter of fact, at Lot 88, where Sarah works, her name's Sarah, I might reference her a lot through this semester, they have one of their meals that costs 89% of what they charge. It's a ribeye steak. So they're paying $30 for ribeyes and they're charging $36 for it on the menu. It used to be like $11 or $12, but it's just beef prices have gone through the roof. They're not going to change their menus. They're just going to keep offering it. They're just going to eat that cost. Now, the reason I'm saying is that, okay, so if that is the way it's going to be and we can't always just keep increasing our menu prices, how else can we reduce and improve our economic factor by reducing costs? And one of which is workflow. So making sure our people, we're not spending more money on labor than we have to. And this very much has to do with the design and the layout of the places that we work in. Traffic flow. So how do people move around? Do we have congestion sites? Am I taking too long for my staff, my servers to walk from a table to the dish area? Or does my dish area not even closely related to where the clean plates have to go and then more food be put on them? Energy use, of course. When do we start all of our equipment up in the kitchen? When do our lights turn on? When there's nobody in the bathroom, are the lights just on all the time? Or is there sensors? Little things like this. But over 365 days for 10 years will save you a lot of money. It's essentially resource maximization. How do we use all the things to help ensure the best balance of space, labor, and money? And we should do this in our own lives as well. Another one is technology. So technology is one of the ways that many of these costs can be reduced. I, for a fact, know that there's a lot of restaurants that have decided that they're only going to be doing takeout that they have a small area inside already, and it's not worth it to bring in servers and cutlery and just all of the whole thing to do with the indoor food service, that they're only doing takeout, and they've actually done better. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody is pretty savvy with technology. There are a few things that we are seeing now are all the online menus and nutritional information. There's digital menus now, new inventory systems, multiple review platforms, which are really a lot of people base their decisions on. Multiple ways to pay for food, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, all these different ways in which that people can get food in a different way from places that typically didn't have those delivery. There's just so many different changes in technology, and even by the time that you have watched this video, there's been a new change or a new evolving practice. So the goal is always to stay on the cutting edge as much as possible where it makes economic sense. And we will look through this all. And that kind of brings me to the end of the trends and this 30-minute video. Sorry, it went a little bit longer because I like to go on a tangent sometimes. When we are in class on Friday, I will talk to you about the Friday Harbor Resort major assignment. There is a small video here, if you would like, that will tell you a little bit more about it. What is Friday Harbor and how they have increased over the last couple of years. There's going to be a package assignment under the assignments tab under Blackboard. It is worth 25% of your mark, or 120 marks. And it will have you choosing a location, one of 3 different locations for your own restaurant concept. Now, you may do anything. And when I say anything, I mean as long as it serves food and beverage, then anything. It can be a tea house. It can be a beach bar. It can be a bakery. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, you can do a fine dining place. You can do steak and seafood and Italian and Chinese and you name it. Anything you want. But just think about what's going on there already. We will be doing some background research on Friday Harbor, so you'll already see what's available. So ensuring maybe what you want to do is something that's already being done. So again, it's all about seeing what that gap is. What is missing and what can I provide? There are 3 locations. I'll go into detail in class about them, but they're the promenade, the beach side, or they're in the edge of the nature preserve. And just give you a little information about what is Friday Harbor Resort, which is this monster of a property here. I think it's 400 acres, and it's only going to get bigger. And there's an 18-hole golf course, like 200 kilometers of a nature preserve with walking trails, a huge marina with boat access to Kempenfelt Bay and Lake Simcoe. You're 20 minutes away from Barrie, and a huge residential area that people can live there year round. So take a look at it. It's fantastic. Do a little research. I will see you Friday at 1 p.m. and I hope you've all had a great summer, and I'm looking forward to meeting you.